I don't know what it is, but something about red keyboards, they just look so nice. Red boards are like the sports car equivalent of like keyboards, right? Or the model equivalent of people. Okay, I don't know what I'm talking about. Welcome back to the channel, guys. This is Scott K. I don't know what it is, but all the red keyboards that I own are probably the most gorgeous examples that I have. Like for example, the Mr. Suit, the Haven 65, and now this, the Orbit 65 by Machina. The Orbit 65 is a premium 65% custom mech designed by an Australian rabbit. I'm just kidding, that's his name right here. Right here, take a look. But he is from the land down under, so he is from Australia. The Orbit 65 is a gorgeous keyboard, especially in the PVD bottom finish that I have. But the Orbit 65 isn't just all looks. It types fantastically with a nice and clean sound profile, without using foams. Have we found the keyboard with a full package? I don't know. Well, let's check it out. So inside this nice carrying case, you got stuff. Bunch of stuff that is individually packed very nicely. Stuff like daughter boards, some tools, and these. What are these? Well, if you recall, there was another keyboard some time ago by the name of the Frog TKL. They used to use these like little tadpole gaskets, right? While not exactly the same design, the Orbit 65 uses a similar type of tadpole gaskets in its own design. Two different colors that represent different stiffness. But there actually will be 3 in total. I have 2. One of the goals that Rabbit had in designing this keyboard was to create something that didn't rely on foam to make it sound good. So even for a keyboard from 2023, the Orbit 65 doesn't have that much foam. In fact, it only comes with 2. The play foam and the case foam. There's like no other fillers or PE foam or silicone or anything like that. Plus, you don't have to use any of these if you don't want to, so. Going on to the PCB, the Orbit 65 has a fairly standard PCB design, but finished nicely in this bluish gray gloss. What's interesting is that it comes with like no RGB, no flex cuts, and also in the standard 1.6mm thickness. It's honoring the classic PCB designs. However, it does come with KO hot swap sockets to make switch swap a breeze. But you know what, if you want to keep it real OG, there's also a solderable option. Since the keyboard is from Australia, it does support both ANSI and ISO, as you can see right here. As with most PCBs these days, it will also be programmable with QMK and VIA. As far as plates are concerned, I received 2 of them, one in aluminum and one in polycarbonate. Once again, the Orbit keeps things pretty classic with non-flex cut plates as well. As you take a closer look, you can see the little tabs where the tadpole gaskets will fit right in. Now that I got that out of the way, let me get to the most exciting part of this keyboard. Yes, the case. And yes, it's a glorious case. Yes, you can opt for that all brass or the all copper bottom, but honestly, why would you even do that when you have this option? The mirror PVD aluminum. This is probably the nicest PVD finish I have seen in a long time. It was immaculate and blemish free. I would say it's actually on the same level as the PVD finish on the Mr. Suit's lower weight. I mean, you can literally flip this thing around and use it as a mirror, no problem. Absolutely gorgeous. I wonder what will happen if you like made the entire keyboard PVD aluminum. I'm sure it'll be gorgeous as long as you don't use it or touch it. The entire case is a screwless design, so it uses these long rubber feet to cover up the screw holes. From the top, you can see the nice little details the Orbit 65 features. For example, you got this little engraving thing that tells you the version and the origins of this keyboard. So mine is a prototype and it's from Sydney. If you go with the aluminum version, whether just ano or PVD, you still get these little brass weight inserts in the inside to add heft to the board. Plus, it's a nice little visual accent that really works well. The daughter board fits into this little slot and also has its own cover. Honestly, this case is just beautiful. Not just the color, but also the shape. As you look at the side profile, you can see this slight curvature swoop happening. It provides a nice little visual distinction, as well as helping to keep the case height a little less aggressive in the front, so you can use this without a wrist rest as well. As you take a look at the back, you can also see that little sliver of PVD that peeks right through. It's just a really nice visual break. Alright, for this keyboard, I'll be doing it in 2 ways. One will be completely foamless, and with a stiffer aluminum plate and the stiffer tadpoles. For switches, I decided to go with a set of looped Gateron unknowns to get that nice marbly UHMWP sound into the board. As shown before, the tadpoles literally just snap into the little tabs like this, and then the whole thing just kinda sits into the case like this. For stabilizers, I used a set of new TX AP stabs. AP apparently stands for almost perfect, and you know what? They do work pretty well. Here is the completed look just before the keycaps. It's really nice. And now the keycaps themselves. For this build, I decided to go with the classic set of DCX White on Black keycaps. Honestly, this deep burgundy color, there's nothing else that matches better than a set of WOBs. Just stunning combination. After building it all out, the orbit looks very similar to the Haven 65. Both gorgeous in this burgundy red. Sexy. Since I'm using a stiffer combination here, how is the flex? Well, as you can expect, it's not the most bouncy keyboard there is, but it's still got enough to keep things very comfortable. How about the sound then? Let's check it out. I can really appreciate a well-designed keyboard that can sound great without using any foam sound modifiers. The Orbit 65 is actually one of them. One thing I would have appreciated was a bit more volume from the keyboard, but I guess that's something you can also improve by using long stem switches with like a palm stem instead of what I did. Now for the second build. I'm going to use the provided case foam. It's really not much, but let's see how it impacts the sound overall. In addition, I'll be using the softer PC plate, so I'm using the plate foam as well, otherwise it's like a pain to insert the switches, right? Finally, I decided to use the much softer white tadpoles to maximize the overall flex too. And this is how it looks, still very clean. And as expected, using the softer combination also yields a much softer keyboard, even with the foam included. So it's good that you have the options, right? Now, what about the sound? Let's check it out. Honestly, even with the foam, the keyboard doesn't sound very foamy. I feel like the foam and this soft combination pretty much takes like the original sound, non-foam combination, right? And just slightly amps up the sound a little bit. For my taste, I actually prefer this build over the completely bare one I did earlier. Alright, so what are my final thoughts then? Well, I got another red keyboard now that will put on the stand and I will admire. Not sure what it is with me, but I get more joy staring at these red keyboards rather than actually using them. Something's wrong, right? I know that the Orbit 65 is not a cheap keyboard. The pricing will start around $349 for the standard version and go all the way up to $439 for the full copper bottom case. But honestly, for me, the $389 PVD version is like where it's at. If you're looking for a premium keyboard that pretty much does everything well while looking amazing, the Orbit 65 is definitely worth your consideration. It offers a very well-rounded package without pulling any gimmicky stops with like the cuts and the foam and the tricks. Just a well-designed board that does everything pretty well. As usual, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and I'll have more content for you in the future. Thanks.